Me. She's playing the sympathy card. Howard, classic move. Stay quiet.
There's
Don't
shooting
text her back.
happening, so don't
Me.
go in.
Already didn't.
Now I see them.
Howard. Good.
Let's go
Let her dig her own
sneaky
hole.
behind.
She's using Facebook as a shovel. By evening, my phone buzzed again. A new number. I picked up Luke Morrison speaking. This is Channel 9 News. We're running a segment on unconventional divorce cases.
So probably
Would you
getting
be
a
open
tail.
to an interview? I blinked. You're kidding.
Well, let's get her
Not at all.
faster.
The reporter said, we
Don't
found the
use
filing
that in a
fascinating,
sentence ever.
especially the clause about child support
Oh,
for
shit,
unborn
there's a hole
children
right
from another
there.
relationship.
I think they see me.
It's quite
Oh, no,
groundbreaking.
they saw you.
I grinned. Groundbreaking? Sure. Like a meteor hitting a trailer park. They laughed. So, can we quote you on that? Absolutely not, I said,
You're not going to
hanging
revive.
up.
I'm telling
Still,
you that for a
I couldn't
fact.
help chuckling.
I'm not
Clarissa
allowing
had
that
wanted to go
happen.
viral for empowerment. Instead,
I got
she'd become a
one.
headline for delusion. The next day, I took a walk downtown, grabbed a latte,
Alright, you
and
got her?
scrolled through my phone.
No, I
My
don't.
feed
You
was
get the
peaceful.
person?
I
No
don't.
cryptic
Right,
subweeds,
she right
no
here,
dramatic
she right
photo
here.
oots, just blissful digital silence. Then,
She's up-
as if
she's up
summoned
on
by
the floor.
irony, my phone pinged again. Message from
Still 2
Clarissa.
minutes?
Clarissa, you think you've won, but you'll regret humiliating me. Me? No humiliation needed. You did all the heavy lifting. She didn't respond.
Hold on.
Probably drafting another hashtag manifesto.
So what?
That night, I met Howard for drinks. He raised his glass. To you, Luke, the first man in legal history to dodge paying alimony for
Okay.
imaginary
So
babies.
you gave the
I
president
clinkied his glass to
Yup.
progress. We laughed,
Sweet.
talked about old college
I'm-
days, and toasted to
multiple things
self-preservation.
there. Guys,
As
they're
I drove
starting-
home
Oh,
later,
people-
the street
oh,
lights blurred in my
bullshit.
rear-view mirror.
I-
And for the first time in months, I felt light,
There are people
untethered, like I'd escaped a cult I didn't
over
realize I
here.
joined. I pulled into my driveway, the porch light flickering like a quiet applause,
rude.
and thought about all the ridiculousness of the last few weeks, the Facebook posts, the hashtags, the courtroom circus. And somehow, amid the chaos, it hit me. Clarissa had given me the best gift ever, perspective. Because sometimes the line between love story
down.
and lawsuit is just one hashtag away, and I wasn't about to
I was
get
right
tagged
next to a
again.
person too.
If karma ever gave out medals, Clarissa would have taken gold in bad timing. Monday morning, I was halfway through a breakfast burrito when my phone buzzed with a text that read, "You changed the locks." I almost choked
Where are
laughing.
you at?
Of
Oh,
course I
our
did.
girl's
I
down.
typed back. "You changed the husband."
Oh, you're
Well,
Seemed fair.
Okay.
5 minutes later, a car pulled
I'm
into the
going
driveway. Her car. Then a second one.
Come here.
Trent's rusty Honda Civic followed right behind,
Oh, shit.
dragging its muffler
It's
like
okay.
it was ashamed to
If
be
I have
there.
to revive you, it's
I
not
didn't
a
even
big deal.
flinch. I just sat on the porch with my coffee like I
great
was
shot,
hosting
mate.
a live episode of The
Fuck,
Real
they
Ex-Wives
wanna
of
steal the
Suburbia.
crown tail.
Clarissa got out first, dramatic as ever, wearing sunglasses the
That's fine,
size of
I'll
dinner
steal it back.
plates, one arm
Ooh,
wrapped
they
in a
didn't.
brace like she'd just
Let's
escaped
go.
a car crash.
And you got my
You
card,
can't lock
so
me out of
yes.
my house, she yelled.
That's good. We're
I
still
sipped
in the
my
storm.
coffee. Correction, my house. Bought it before the wedding, paid every mortgage payment, and legally it's mine. You just contributed emotional chaos and scented candles. Trent got out next, puffing his chest like he thought he was auditioning for cops.
How
You
was
heard
your
her,
dinner?
bro.
Meant
Let
to
her
ask you
in.
that as well.
Trent, I said calmly.
That's pretty good.
You don't even have the right to be
grab all
on my
your shit.
property.
Yeah, I'm
Technically,
And your crown.
I could charge you for loitering and making bad life choices. Clarissa
Okay,
scoffed.
good. You have
We'll
some
see about
meals.
that. And she wasn't
You can
kidding.
have this one too.
She dialed 911 right there on the lawn like it was her personal customer service line. Hello? Yes. My husband locked me out of my marital home. Yes, I live here. He's being emotionally abusive. I nearly choked. Emotionally abusive. I made coffee and
Look
ignored
at
you.
me carrying
That's called self-care.
Captain.
10 minutes later, a patrol
welcome.
car rolled up.
Shotgun.
Two
No, I think
officers
that-
stepped out.
That's not the
The
shotgun.
kind of guys who looked like they'd seen every brand of domestic circus imaginable.
See?
One of
No,
them
thank
glanced
you.
between
It's
us and
fine.
sighed, already
Fine,
tired.
I'll just
All right,
I'll just
folks.
die so you can
What's
save
going
me
on?
and we'll be even.
Clarissa launched into her story like a contestant on America's Got Lies. He froze my
Where are
accounts.
you at?
He
Oh, there's
changed
stuff
the
up here.
locks.
Okay, cool.
And now he's trying to leave me homeless. The officer turned to me.
Extra ammo
Sir,
and stuff.
is that true? Mostly, I said, except the homeless part.
Alright, cool.
She's got a new boyfriend right there. He can house her in his art
30
studio
people
or
left,
whatever
which is
magical
a
treehouse
little
broke
bit of a
people live
shock.
in. Trent tried to speak, but the officer
Honestly,
raised a hand.
I wasn't expecting
Sir,
to die,
please,
but I just
one
ran
at a
into
time.
people.
I
That
handed
was
over my
major
folder, the
thing.
deed, the prenup, and Howard's note with sole property, highlighted like divine scripture.
And I took down
Here's
all
the
the
ownership, premarital asset. Locked for my safety after repeated harassment. The officer flipped through the papers,
I'm just
nodded,
giving
and
Cat
turned
a
to her.
hard time.
Ma'am,
Wait,
this
how
looks
do
pretty
I'm
clear.
gonna head
This isn't a criminal issue.
for
It's civil.
Here.
You'll need to take it up in court. Clarissa's face twisted. You mean he can just keep me out? Yes, ma'am, the officer said. For now?
There.
Yes, I smirked.
You're going up?
Would you like me to
down.
print you a copy of the keyhole for reference?
Give my
Trent muttered. You think this is funny? I think it's educational, I said. Welcome to adult consequences. Clarissa stomped her foot like a toddler denied ice cream. You'll regret this. Maybe, I said. But at least I'll regret it from inside my house. As they drove off, I called Howard. Round 1-1. She brought the cops. He laughed. Let me guess. Officer told her it's civil. Word for word. I said they even looked like they wanted popcorn. Good. Now file for exclusive residence. Done yesterday. I said, waiting for the hearing.
I mean, there's people
Well,
down.
Howard
down
said
at the
she'll
gas
probably
station right there.
retaliate. And oh, did she? That evening,
I mean,
I came
do you wanna
home
do
from
it?
work to find a bright yellow notice taped to my door. Temporary restraining order, pending hearing. I burst out laughing so hard the mailman across the street stared. I took a photo and texted Howard. Called it. He replied, don't panic. They hand those out like candy. What's she claiming? I scanned the fine print. Says I threatened her maternal destiny. There was a full 30 seconds of silence before his reply. What the hell does that even mean? No idea, I said. Maybe she's trying to trademark the phrase.
I mean,
He
I
sighed.
see them. I just
Don't worry,
wanna
we'll
snipe
squash it.
them.
2
I don't
days
have a
later,
sniper.
we were in court.
Don't worry.
Clarissa showed up in a maternity dress. Not pregnant, just dramatic. Trent was beside her in another one of his creative professional outfits, meaning the same wrinkled blazer and paint-stained
There's a lot of
jeans.
slope around.
The judge, an older woman who looked like she'd rather be golfing, stared at the paperwork for a full minute before saying, Mrs. Morrison, are you currently expecting a child? Clarissa beamed. Not yet, but hopefully soon. The judge blinked. With Mr. Morrison? Clarissa's face lit up with that tragic optimism she was famous for. With Mr. Garrison? The judge slowly removed her glasses. Then you can expect
They wrote
elsewhere.
down there.
I swear I heard
they-
Angel sing. Howard
drove
leaned
away
over
and
and
we moved
whispered,
back.
game set. House.
Let's,
The judge continued,
boss boy.
restraining order denied.
Alright.
Exclusive residence granted to Mr. Morrison. Mrs. Morrison, you are ordered to vacate immediately and refrain from returning until further proceedings. Clarissa gasped. He manipulated the system. Ma'am, the judge said flatly. The system's fine. You're just bad at it. Even Trent winced. When the gavel hit the block, I wanted to cheer, but I didn't. I just smiled calm and smug, the smile of a man who just won the emotional Super Bowl. Outside the courthouse, Clarissa turned on me. You think you've won, but this isn't over. Oh, it's very over. I said, you can't even pick a court outfit without delusion. You wore a maternity dress to a property hearing.
Bosses down.
Trent stepped forward, trying to puff himself up again. We're building a future, man. You can't stop love. Love? I asked. Trent, you're a 38-year-old man who paints beach sunsets for
legendary
Instagram
weapon?
likes. You can't even stop your car from leaking oil, Clarissa
That's
gasped.
not a legendary.
You're cruel.
No, it's a myth.
No,
Got it.
Clarissa, I said. I'm free. They stormed off. I took a deep breath and
you're
looked
gonna
up at the
become the
courthouse
boss?
steps,
You will be
sunlight
marked.
hitting my face like divine approval.
Alright.
It felt like closure, or at least halftime in a
Now
very
they
stupid
all
game.
know we're coming.
When I got home, I changed the locks again just
You
for
do have
sport,
special
then
powers,
ordered a
so
pizza.
Enjoy.
Half pepperoni, half poetic
What's my
justice.
good weapon?
We
I
gotta
watched a
start
movie,
heading toward the
laughed
store,
too
or
loud,
out of
and
the
slept
store.
better than I had in months. The next morning, my neighbor Dave came over with his coffee mug. Heard you won in court, he said.
Alright, let's go.
The whole block's talking about it. Small town rumor mill works fast, I said. Clarissa was outside your house yesterday crying and yelling about fertility rights, he said, shaking his head. The mailman filmed it. He's got like 2,000 views already. I grinned. Guess I'm finally internet famous.
Do I just like
Dave
act
chuckled.
like I'm shooting if I
Man,
want to?
you're handling this like a champ.
Weapon?
Dave, I said after being
have
married to that
no
drama
idea.
I
tornado
don't know either.
courtrooms feel
I'm
like
asking you. I
spas.
thought you played.
That
wait,
weekend I got an
where-
email
where
from
are
Howard
you-
officially
You're-
yours.
Why,
Deed and
why are
title
you losing
reaffirmed.
the high ground?
Case closed for
I
now.
don't know.
This is.
I poured a drink, opened the blinds, and looked around my house. My house.
Do you know who you're playing with?
No emotional
Do you know who you're
landmines,
playing with?
no background size, no toxic optimism, just quiet. But quiet never
mean,
lasts.
everyone's gonna
Monday
see you on the
morning,
map
there was a
anyways,
knock at the door. I opened it to find Trent again. This time, holding a cardboard box. What is it now? I asked. He shifted awkwardly.
Fuck, I can't
Clarissa
deal with
wanted
that.
me to get her
Can't
stuff.
deal with that right now.
I raised an eyebrow. Let me guess. She's
Can't
too
deal with
emotionally
what?
fragile to face the locks she doesn't own. He shrugged.
Oh.
I don't
Hi,
want to get in the
Chad.
middle,
No.
bro.
You're
Don't-
amazing.
Too late,
No, mm-mm.
I said, and handed him a neatly packed
do you
box
see
I'd
what I'm
already
talking about?
prepared labeled
Captain
Clarissa's bad
hasn't had in
decisions.
a while.
He took it,
What?
confused.
Choo-choo train.
What's in it?
We
Her
don't need a
leftover
choo-choo
mail,
train.
some hair products,
I don't want a
and a few
choo-choo train.
unfinished
I'm-
dreams.
Look
He
how
frowned.
close we are to
That's
an
messed
emo.
up, man.
We are super close
No,
to an email.
I said, closing the door.
Saying-
That's closure.
Oh, did you see
Behind the
someone?
door, I heard him mumble,
Sorry,
weird,
I
dude,
had to deal
before
with
his
that
car
chat.
sputtered away. I laughed. Weird or not? I was winning. And every win tasted like peace.
We don't need a
Friday
choo-choo
morning
train.
began
I
with the
am
soundtrack
so
of
happy
chaos,
without all
honking
the
cars,
choo-choos.
distant shouting, and the unmistakable voice of my
Alright.
soon-to-be ex-wife yelling
Let's go.
about rights
Yeah,
she didn't
we
have.
did see someone down
I
there.
took a long sip of coffee,
Alright.
savoring the calm before the inevitable circus. The movers were scheduled
have
for
to
8
down there
a.m.,
anyway.
but Clarissa apparently decided
There's
to
8
make it a
people left.
spectator event. At 7:45, the parade
do it?
arrived.
Oh, don't go that
Her
way.
sister Greta's
Can I do it as the
SUV pulled in
boss?
first, followed by their mother Betty's ancient minivan. And because the universe has a dark sense of humor, Trent's sad little Civic bringing up the rear, duct tape holding his bumper together like an emotional metaphor.
People.
Clarissa
Alright,
hopped
I'm
out of the
gonna
front
go-
seat, waving her
Oh, I
hands
see someone.
I'm
dramatically.
gonna go.
We're
this
here
way.
to collect my belongings,
shit.
she
Okay.
announced as if
Or
I were
not.
supposed to salute.
Fuck.
I nodded. Perfect. The boxes are ready
Okay.
by the door. Try not to take anything that belongs to reality. Betty stepped
Rage is not a
forward,
choo-choo
holding her
train.
purse
We
like a
don't-
shield. You can't talk to her that way. She's been through trauma.
Oh, that's a
Trauma,
choo-choo.
I
Oh,
said,
you're like-
raising an eyebrow.
we're
She had elective
not near each
surgery and a
other.
delusional boyfriend. She's not a war
Kinda
veteran.
push.
Greta gasped.
Hiding.
You're heartless. No, I said I'm healed.
I'm
There's a
waiting for everyone
difference.
to come here.
That's when I
No,
revealed
I'm
my
dead.
secret weapon.
I'm fucked.
Two off-duty cops I'd
Fuck
hired
this,
for the
fuck
day
this,
standing on the
jeez.
porch sipping coffee.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Officer Reynolds and Officer
not.
Jenkins. Good guys, no nonsense and definitely not in the mood for dramatics. Reynolds nodded politely. Morning, ma'am.
Now they're coming
We're
to
just
me.
here to keep things civil. Clarissa blinked. See civil? You called the police. I shrugged. You called them last time. I figured I'd return the favor, but with snacks and supervision. Trent, ever the self-proclaimed peacemaker, stepped forward. Listen,
down.
man. Let's not
Yeah,
make this
yeah,
hostile.
I'm about to be down.
We just want her
'cause-
stuff.
I
Then
got
let's do
sniped
this
from the
quickly.
right.
I said,
they
there's a
sniped me.
pizza place 2 blocks down that delivers common sense. Maybe stop there on your way home.
Rage.
Greta
We
rolled
don't
her
do
eyes.
choo-choos here.
We'll start with the
Second
TV.
place, you know what?
Reynolds
I'll
cleared
take
his
it.
throat.
I'll take the second
Ma'am,
place.
the
due to
TV is on the
fact
husband's
that
property
We're
inventory.
playing
Clarissa
squads.
pouted. We picked it together. Yeah, I said at Best Buy
And
with
you
my debit
marked
card.
yourself on the mark
I even
map
remember the
whole
day
time.
she wanted the one with the voice control because she said she was tired
Okay, I
of
gotta
pressing
return to
buttons.
lobby and take a tiny
Funny
little
how
break.
that became a theme in this marriage.
Yeah.
Greta muttered. Wow. Petty much petty.
All right, I'll
I
be right
said,
back.
no, Greta.
Guys,
Petty
I'm gonna
is me
be right back
labeling
as
her
well.
boxes Bad Decisions Volume 1 to
So
3.
I will be back.
That
in
got a snort from
30-ish
Jenkins.
seconds.
Even Reynolds cracked a smile.
So
Clarissa pointed to my
I
grandmother's
will see
antique
you
dining
guys in a
set
few
next.
seconds. I will be
That's
back.
mine, too.
Not a
I
few
held up
seconds,
a
but like
receipt.
a minute or two.
Bought it at
Also,
Grandma's
behave,
estate
Rage.
sale with my money. But I helped pick it, she cried. So what? You also picked Trent, and I'm not claiming him. Trent started to say something, but stopped when Reynolds gave him a look that said, don't. Then came the real showdown, Clarissa's jewelry box. She lifted it like it was a trophy. These were anniversary gifts, she said triumphantly. Correct, I said. Gifts from me to you. Enjoy them. That's called closure. She blinked, confused. You're letting me keep something? Sure, I said. I'm not cruel. Besides, it's costume jewelry. I wouldn't want the pawn shop laughing at you and your boyfriend. Betty gasped. Luke Morrison, you are a vile man. Thank you, Betty, I said. I strive for consistency. Then, like a slow-motion scene in a bad movie, Trent reached for my flat-screen TV. I didn't even say a word, just nodded toward Jenkins. The cop's voice boomed. Put it down, sir. Trent froze. TV halfway off the wall mount. He looked like a toddler caught stealing cookies. I was just helping. Help by breathing less. I said. He obeyed, instantly setting it back. Clarissa whirled on me. You think you've won, don't you? Oh, I know I have, I said. You're the one moving out of a paid-off house into a borrowed apartment with a guy whose biggest investment is in vape pens. Greta muttered. You'll die alone. I smiled
Kame
probably,
Sultana
but surrounded
gifted
by
1
peace,
subscriptions
good credit,
to the
and no
community.
Facebook posts with hashtags. Betty wiped fake tears. How can you be so cold? She's your wife. Correction, I said. She was my tax deduction. Big difference. Clarissa's face went red. You'll regret this when I rebuild my life. I raised my cup of coffee. Clarissa, if your life comes with a warranty, please make sure Trent reads the fine print this time. That's when she cracked. Full meltdown, she stomped. She cried. She even threw one of her scarves dramatically into the air. It fluttered down onto my porch like the flag of defeat. Reynolds sighed, taking notes. "Ma'am, please calm down. He stole my future." She screamed. I crossed my arms. I didn't steal it. I just stopped financing it. Trent tried again because apparently he never learns. "Look, man. We don't want drama. We just Trent," I interrupted. "You
Now
showed
you're a
up at
bot.
another
I'm not
man's
even
house
back
with
in
his
my seat
wife,
yet,
tried to
you're
take
already
his
a bot.
TV, and are currently holding her purse. You're a drama." Even Reynolds couldn't suppress a chuckle. After
You're a
2
bot.
exhausting hours,
I hope
they
you know
packed
that.
what little
You're-
she could
you're a
claim.
bot.
Clothes, a few
Guys, for
kitchen
anyone who
items,
does not
and
know
that
what
jewelry
just
box.
happened,
I handed her the final
Janae
envelope, the official
has
property
gifted
settlement terms.
another
She
sub to
ripped
the
it
channel.
open, read the first
Which
line,
means
and gasped.
We have a new-
$73,000.
another emote
That's
coming
it.
to the stream.
That's it. I
Another
said,
one.
"You get the cash. I get my sanity. Fair trade.
You're a bot.
That won't even
okay?
cover the surgery," she shouted.
So you
"Then
guys
consider
need
it
to
a cautionary
think, do we
tale,"
want
I said.
Captain Smirk?
She glared at me,
Well, it's
tears
Scooter
streaming
Smirk,
down her
Scooter
face.
Gasp,
"You're a
or Scooter
terrible man,
Cozy.
Luke Morrison." "Maybe," I said. "But I'm a
You're a
free
bot.
one." When the last box hit the back seat of
Okay.
Greta's
I
car,
hope you know
I
that.
leaned against the porch railing and exhaled. "Well," I said to Reynolds and Jenkins. "Gentlemen, I appreciate the crowd control." Reynolds nodded. "Seen worse. At least no one threw a shoe." "Give it time," I said. And as if on cue, Betty hurled a heel toward me from the driveway. It missed by a mile, clattering harmlessly against the walkway. Jenkins laughed. "You called that?" "I know my audience," I said. Finally, the cars rolled away, leaving a
Which
trail
one
of
was it?
exhaust and misplaced confidence.
Oh,
I stood there watching them go.
Hi.
The sun hitting my porch
You
like a
wanna try
spotlight on the
blitz
last act of a
against
tragedy.
squads?
I'd already survived. The silence that followed was beautiful.
Guys, let me know which
No
emote
yelling,
you guys want.
no crying,
Smirk,
no speeches about destiny.
Cozy,
Just
or
quiet.
gasp.
I went inside,
These are all
poured
sweet.
myself another cup of
Yeah,
coffee,
for
and called
cozy.
Howard. "It's done," I said. "The Queen and her court have vacated." He chuckled. "Any damages?" "Only emotional ones," I said. "And those are covered by bourbon."
Oh, yeah,
"Good
sorry.
man," he
This is
said.
popcorn sandwich.
"Now enjoy the peace before she finds a new hobby." "My bet's on blogging about empowerment or
popcorn
suing
that's
yoga
like in the Christmas
studios,"
tin?
I said. "Wouldn't surprise me." When I hung up, I turned on my reclaimed flat screen. The reflection in the dark glass caught me off guard. Same guy, just lighter, like someone had peeled off 15 years of passive-aggressive guilt. I toasted my reflection with my coffee mug. "To peace," I said
was like,
aloud into the end
We
of the
have a lot of
circus.
Scooter emotes
But just
on
as I sat down, my phone buzzed again. A text from an
A lot of
unknown
them
number.
are holiday
"You're going to
emotes,
regret
two of them
treating
are
her like
live
this.
stream.
She deserves better." I smirked. The area code was local.
It's too much
Probably
pressure to
Trent's
decide
mother
now.
or another volunteer from Clarissa's
Captain's
victim club.
choice.
I typed back. "She does deserve better. Too bad she picked Trent." And with that, I
Also,
blocked
I'm
the
getting
number,
crumbs
silenced the
everywhere. I can't
phone,
eat a
and
cookie
turned
in
back to my
peace.
movie. For the first time in years, I watched a film from start to
Again,
finish without
personal
hearing
problem.
someone complain about
It
the
is.
plot,
Also,
the
guys,
lighting, or how
we
toxic
either need
masculinity ruins
100
cinema.
bits or one
It
more
felt
gift
like
sub,
therapy, cheap,
or a sub,
effective, and
I
dramery.
believe a train
By
is
midnight,
activated?
I was lying in bed,
Janae can
staring
correct
at
me
the
if I'm
ceiling,
incorrect or
listening
not.
to the quiet hum of my freedom. The house
You
felt
were
lighter.
set to 2 events,
The air
right?
smelled cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was the absence
Yep,
of
so we just
Clarissa's
need
essential
one other
oils.
person to,
Maybe it was just peace. Either way, it was perfect. And as I drifted off to sleep, one thought kept echoing in my mind. I didn't lose a wife. I lost a liability. 3 days.
But then,
That's how long it took for Clarissa's new happily ever after to start cracking like cheap foundation. I wasn't surprised. It was only a matter of time before the fairy tale turned into a cautionary podcast.
I'm not ready.
But I didn't expect the first call to come from her sister, Greta, of all people. It was Tuesday evening and I was halfway through my steak when my phone lit up. Greta. Normally, I wouldn't have answered if the house were on fire, but curiosity
I
beat
never die
caution.
in Fortnite. I've never
"Luke,"
died once
she
in
said,
Fortnite.
voice tight. "Greta,"
No, I mean,
I said,
like-
"what an unpleasant surprise." "Don't start," she
was
snapped. I just looked,
detect-
they're living with me. I grinned. You, Clarissa, and Trent, what a sitcom.
So,
What's it called? 3 losers
now
and
that
a
I have
couch.
friend, maybe this will
Don't
go
be a
better.
jerk, she said. I'm
We're
serious.
friends?
He won't work and she keeps
Wow,
talking
that's
about
news
baby
to me.
names.
Right.
She's not even
Now that I have
pregnant.
someone to
I
carry
nearly
my butt.
choked on my steak.
That's news
Oh,
to me. I
this is
didn't know
better
we were
than TV.
friends.
Please go on. She's losing
I'm
it.
just kidding.
Greta muttered.
Enemies?
She sits around all day watching
Enemies?
fertility
Yeah.
vlogs and crying. And Trent, God, he's been painting in my garage. Says he's working on a vision board for creative abundance.
Where are we landing?
He owes me rent. Greta,
Not my
I said, trying not to laugh.
Oh,
You
yes,
invited
this is
them in.
actually a pretty good
You bought the ticket.
rifle.
Enjoy the ride. I didn't invite them, she hissed.
Also, guys,
She showed up crying
for
about
anyone
you
who
and
does
how you
not
stole
know,
her dreams.
there's
I didn't
no
know she
stream
was
on
bringing the
Thursday.
clown.
It's not like I
I
stream on
laughed so
Thursdays,
hard I had to
but
mute the call for a
I will
second.
be
Let me
supporting
guess.
another content
Trent
creator.
told you he just needed a few weeks
Herself
to get on his
truly,
feet.
Kamei.
Yes, she said. He's been here 10 days and hasn't worn shoes once.
I am trying to
Sounds
actually
like
be there
progress,
all 12
I said.
hours.
At least his feet are getting
Who is
fresh air.
snipping me, you
This isn't
little
funny.
shit?
Greta
No
said,
promises.
you should see her. She's not the same. She's she's kind of
fine.
delusional.
It's fine.
I leaned back in my chair,
Everything's fine.
swirling my drink.
fine.
She was delusional
Fine,
before.
someone just tried to
Now
snipe
she
me.
just has an
And
audience.
it was very
There
sad.
There was a long pause. You don't care at
very
all, do you? I smiled. Care, Greta? I cared for 15 years. Now I'm retired. She hung up. I spent the next 5 minutes laughing into my bourbon glass. An hour later, Howard called. Got a message from Clarissa's lawyer, he said.
Okay, I gotta
Let me
grab
guess.
this chest and
She wants
move.
more money. Bingo. 50 grand
Oh,
to
yeah,
settle
we got
things
that.
amicably.
All right, I'm
I
gonna
snorted.
keep you.
50 grand. She should try GoFundMe like
Well,
everyone else with bad decisions.
I don't
Could
have
end it
the
clean, Howard
greatest
said.
of-
You'd be free of her
We already-
completely. I
maybe
thought
we go
about it
there.
for a second, then shook my head. Nope.
Huh?
She started this
so fine.
chaos.
Yeah,
She can finish
because
it.
I feel like if
I'm not paying
we're moving a
tuition for
little-
the school of consequences. Howard chuckled. You've got a mean streak.
I feel like the
Call
red
it a
would be
sense of
little better.
balance, I said. Every action gets a reaction. Hers just come with rent due. That night, I slept better than I had in months.
I'll try to be
Maybe
there
it
as
was the
much as
whiskey.
possible, but I'm
Maybe
probably
it was
going to
knowing
nod
that karma
off
was
here
finally
and there.
putting in overtime. The next morning, my peace was
My door
interrupted
is
by
very-
another
oh, shit.
call. This
Hi.
time from a
Okay.
number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answered. Luke,
Panda,
a soft
thank you so
voice
much
said.
for the Tangia dungeon.
Depends who's asking.
Guys, do an
It's
exclamation point
Clarissa.
join to join them.
I sighed.
Um,
Shouldn't you be too busy naming
my
imaginary
goal is to
babies?
be there
She ignored the jab.
the whole
I
stream
just
as
wanted to
much as
talk
possible.
calmly. That's
Oh,
new.
Wow.
I said, all right, you've got 30 seconds.
Storm's coming
I'm
in.
struggling,
Oh, my
she
internet
said.
might die.
Everything's
That
hard right now,
was
Trent.
really
And I
bad
just need a little
confirmed.
time to get settled. Maybe you could help.
There's a
I
revive
laughed
here
so
if you want.
loudly it startled her. Help, Clarissa. I already helped. I didn't press charges when you stole half my peace of mind. You're being cruel, she said softly. And you're being predictable, I replied. What do you need? Money,
Oh,
food,
shit. They're,
a
like,
therapist
right
with
here.
industrial strength patience. She sniffled.
All right.
Just some
I will
understanding,
see you on the other
Clarissa.
side.
I said,
guess.
I understand perfectly. You left a stable marriage for
coming
a
to
broke
us.
artist who thinks acrylic paint is a retirement plan. I'm just not funding that understanding. Fine, she snapped.
I'm fucked.
Enjoy your empty house. I am, I said cheerfully. It's quiet, clean, and doesn't cry over baby names. She hung up. Later that day, Greta texted me. You were
Yeah,
right.
doing blitz
He's useless.
against
She's
teams
losing it.
is
This is a
not
nightmare.
advisable.
I replied,
not.
welcome to my
I mean,
last
we
3
could go
years.
to
Greta sent another
duos.
message an hour later. He tried to sell one of her handbags
You
for
want-
gas money. Artistic initiative.
I
I texted back,
shouldn't really care
man's
too
a
much about
visionary.
the llamas.
I didn't hear from her again that week,
No, we
but the
can-
gossip
we can
traveled
go back to
fast.
squads
By
and,
Thursday,
the other-
the neighborhood
Doesn't matter to
grapevine,
me. I'm open
specifically
for
my
anything.
neighbor
Oh, wait.
Dave, had updates.
Hold on. I gotta
Heard
see
from my
something real
wife
quick.
that Clarissa is staying with her sister, he said, leaning on the fence. Apparently,
Like,
she and that
I have
Trent
a
guy
question.
keep fighting.
I'm
I
returning
grinned.
the lobby.
Yeah.
Can't imagine why. Nothing bonds a couple like
I
shared
gotta return
delusion
the
and
lobby for
financial
my question
collapse.
before I
Dave
act stupid
chuckled.
about this.
You're cold,
So-
man. No,
I
I
need
said
to
I'm free.
collect
It just looks like
another
cold from a distance. That night, I poured myself a
79
drink and thought about it.
of these
Clarissa had everything.
to get
Security,
to stage
comfort,
5.
a husband who didn't cheat or gamble or vanish for weeks.
But
And
the-
she traded it all
I
for a
have
man
to
whose
get
idea of
stage
ambition was an
10 to
Etsy
even
page
get
that
the-
hadn't
Yep,
made a
you gotta
sale
get
since
more.
2018.
Ow,
Yep.
fuck
You
that.
couldn't
Hang
script
on,
a
give
better
them.
downfall if you tried.
Fuck that.
Friday
But
morning,
no,
Howard
no,
called
to get
again.
to get
She's
the item,
desperate,
you just need
he said.
400.
Janet
Ow.
just
To
emailed
get
me.
extra
Clarissa wants to negotiate
XP,
privately.
You gotta do
Says
more.
she's reconsidering
Um,
everything.
My
I laughed.
bro-in-law just
Translation.
asked if
Trent asked her to
he
split
could
the
play
electric
with
bill.
us, but
Want me to
in
schedule a
game,
meeting?
I'm gonna,
Sure,
if it
I
is
said.
okay with you,
But tell her
it's
to bring
okay if
Trent.
it's not, but
I want to
if
see
it
what
is okay
remorse
with
looks
you,
like in
I need to
sandals.
have a chat with
The
him
meeting was
first.
set for Monday.
Yeah, that's fine.
I spent the weekend polishing the house.
Pat is such
Okay,
a
Literally.
negative
I'm gonna-
Nancy.
There's no joy like cleaning a home free from chaos.
Yeah, so I'll be
I
back.
rearranged the furniture, added a few new photos of friends and family, even replaced the old rug she used to hate. It felt symbolic, every inch reclaimed. When Monday came, I wore
I am
my
a negative
favorite suit
Nancy.
and my best smile. They arrived 10 minutes late, looking like they'd lost a fight with reality.
Yep.
Clarissa's hair was messy, her makeup barely hanging on. Trent wore a shirt that said Dreamers Build Tomorrow and sneakers that should have been retired 2 presidents ago. Howard greeted them politely, but I didn't bother pretending. Clarissa, I said.
We're not going
Trent,
too much longer,
welcome to
guys,
adulthood.
either.
She frowned. I didn't come here to be insulted.
So it is one of those
Good,
things
I
where
said.
we are
Then this
going
will be quick. Howard handed her
not
the
too
updated
much
settlement
longer.
terms. No changes. She skimmed them, her face falling. You won't even consider helping me get back on my feet. Clarissa, I said, I paid for 15 years of your stability. You used it to buy chaos. You're on your own 2 feet now. Use them.
Fortnite, Wolfie.
Trent looked up from his phone. She's been through a lot,
That is
man.
my goal.
I grinned.
I want
So have
to
I. Differences
see
mine doesn't
Wolfie
involve painting
play some
motivational
Fortnite.
quotes on driftwood. Howard
Also,
coughed,
can
trying
I
not to
make
laugh.
our party
Perhaps we should adjourn. We did. Clarissa left in tears.
Yeah, invite
Trent trailing behind like a lost puppy. When the door closed,
I'm
Howard
too
said,
busy
You
reading
sure
to
about
play
not taking
Fortnite."
the deal? 50
Well,
grand
do
and
better,
it's
Wolfie.
done. I smiled.
Do better.
I don't negotiate
Just
with
so-
self-inflicted
just in case-
disasters.
So, 'cause I know
He
Kamei
raised his
probably has
glass
the
of
game
water
open,
in
and
mock
I don't want
salute.
her
To the
hear
unbothered,
me
to the
talking while
unaffordable,
she's having
I
another
corrected.
conversation.
That night,
So
Greta
it's one of
called
those
again.
things where I'm
She's back
like,
here.
Let me
He left. I
just
blinked.
mute myself
Left?
while Kamei's
As
doing
in,
that.
gone? Greta said took her last
so yeah.
$500 and ran off with some
I don't
yoga
know
instructor
what
from
I
his
wanna
art
play
class.
tomorrow, guys.
I burst out
truly
laughing.
Don't know.
You can't make this up. She's devastated, Greta said.
You
Keep
do
saying
better.
she should have stayed with you. I
Maybe
grinned.
want to do worse.
Finally,
Also, hold on,
something
guys.
we
I wanna
agree on.
minimize
Don't gloat,
this
Greta
real quick.
warned.
I want to see.
I'm not gloating, I said. I'm celebrating karma's
Oh,
punctuality.
the game Dredge.
Greta sighed.
That's what I wanted to do.
She
So
wants
the
to talk
game
to you.
Dredge
Tell her to send a postcard,
is
I said,
a-
hanging up. Then I poured myself another drink, sat back, and turned on the stereo. Jazz filled the house,
Single-player
smooth
fishing
and
adventure
effortless.
with a
Outside, the world
sinister
kept spinning.
undercurrent,
Chaotic,
which
dramatic,
you sell
messy.
your catch, upgrade your
But
boat,
inside, peace.
keep yourself
Pure
muted
uninterrupted
to us,
peace.
Captain, please.
And I wasn't about to trade it for anything. Not love, not nostalgia, and definitely not a second round of Clarissa's fairy tale gone feral. Friday afternoon,
Hey.
the sun was shining, birds were chirping, and I was 3 sips into a perfectly good bourbon when I saw the shape of
Hello?
a familiar disaster marching up my office hallway.
Hello.
I didn't need to check the security feed. The way my receptionist's smile died told me everything. Clarissa was back. She burst through the door like she owned the
Am I supposed
place,
to be doing
wearing
something else?
oversized sunglasses and fake confidence.
Oh,
I'm pregnant,
how can we
she
live in
announced,
Phantom
arms
Slap
crossed
and
like she
act
just won a debate. I stared at her for a long moment, waiting for the punchline. When it didn't come, I leaned back in my chair.
I could hear you on your
It's been
screen,
3
so I knew you
weeks,
muted
Clarissa.
us.
What did you
Muted
use?
to us.
Express shipping.
I
Her jaw
messaged-
tightened. The doctor
uh,
said, it's possible.
I
Sure,
met-
I said.
I
So is time
messaged
travel,
Phantom
but I don't see you in a
on-
DeLorean.
on Discord,
She ignored me.
Mhm.
I'm serious,
Um,
Luke.
but he wasn't
I'm pregnant and I need your help. I raised an
I don't know
eyebrow.
if he can hear us.
Help?
Not
What
sure.
kind?
Well, no, I muted
Emotional,
because I was
financial,
reading,
or comedic
a
relief?
potential game we might do
Because I'm
tomorrow.
fresh out of the first 2. She slammed her
Yeah,
purse
I
onto
was-
my
I was-
desk.
I was listening
You're
to
not
you.
funny. This is your responsibility, too. I blinked. Mine? Clarissa? We haven't
yeah.
been within 6 feet of each other since the great spaghetti
That-
betrayal. I'm not
Let me
Jesus.
finish. as
I don't
well.
do immaculate
So it is-
conceptions.
it seems
Her
like a
voice
fun
cracked.
game.
You think
I mean,
this is
maybe-
easy for
maybe
me?
we'll give it a try
Trent
tomorrow,
left.
guys.
He couldn't handle the pressure. I smirked. Pressure of what?
Another one that has
Paying rent?
indices.
Holding
Oh.
a job?
Hold on.
Basic hygiene?
Take your time.
She glared. You're cruel. I'm observant. I said, so, let me get this straight. You had surgery 3 weeks ago.
I'll mute again.
Your boyfriend bailed.
But it
And
will
now you're
probably
telling
be one
me
of
you're
those
pregnant.
things where
What's next?
um
Virgin births
maybe
and
we'll start
crowdfunding.
off with that.
Her lips
see how
trembled.
the game is. If
The
I don't
baby's
like
innocent.
it, maybe we'll do some Fortnite.
I nodded
'cause
slowly.
honestly,
So
we
is
could
my
just do
checking
some
account,
Fortnite,
and I intend to keep it
'cause
that
I
way.
don't mind
She
Fortniting
gasped
it
like
up.
she expected me to
And
leap
then,
across
yeah,
the desk
I don't
with a
know.
declaration of eternal
we'll truly
support.
see what happens.
Instead,
honestly,
I
guys,
poured
I'm gonna
myself
take it
more
one day at a
bourbon.
time.
Clarissa sniffled.
And then maybe
I thought you'd at least
Friday,
care.
I'll see
Care?
maybe if we can do
I said.
something.
You spent months treating me
with
like your financial plan B, Clarissa.
Some peeps.
Now that plan A is
What's
gone,
wrong?
you're suddenly sentimental.
What do you mean? What's
She
wrong?
looked down, voice shaking. I made mistakes. I leaned forward. You made a PowerPoint of mistakes. Multiple slides with animations.
What do you mean what's wrong?
For a
Curious?
moment, she said nothing. Then she pulled something from her purse. A sonogram photo.
Kamei
I
said stay
blinked.
muted. Ow.
How the hell? She sniffed. Early scan. I squinted at it. Clarissa,
Because I
that
was
looks like
talking about
static.
something.
You sure that's not a
I'm
picture of your
currently muted as
self-awareness?
well now,
Her face
just so
hardened.
that they can't hear me.
You're impossible.
Why we
And
get
you're
ready
still lying?
for our next
I said, but hey, thanks for stopping
battle.
by. My lunch break's over
but
and
yeah,
I've got
I think
actual
we might
adults
do
to meet
Dredge
with.
tomorrow. Maybe
She didn't move.
test that a little
You
bit.
can't ignore
and
me
then,
forever. I
If
can't,
I don't like
I said.
it, maybe we'll switch
And
over
I'm
to
very good
Fortnite
at
or
it.
switch over to
That's when my
something.
security guard,
I still am
Daryl,
trying
a
to
6
figure
feet
out the
4 inches
settings with
ex-marine with the
Stardew.
patience
Honestly,
of a monk,
Stardew might
appeared
just
at
be
the
a game
door.
where I play it
Everything
offline,
all right, Mr. Morrison?
unless I might need
Just
to
fine,
lower some
I said.
settings within OBS
Mrs.
and
Morrison
stuff
was
like
just
that.
leaving. Clarissa's eyes went
But
wide.
I know that
You're throwing me out.
I did a
I
little
smiled
bit of
politely.
looking
Technically,
upping,
Daryl's doing that. I'm just
of
supervising.
some things,
Luke,
and it
please,
did say
she cried.
that it might
Don't do
be
this.
best to
Do
go
what?
into the
Enforce
video control
boundaries.
panel.
Oh, no. Call Oprah. Daryl held the door open.
And change some
Ma'am.
settings for Stardew.
Clarissa
in there,
stomped
so
out,
might try
muttering
that.
something
Maybe
about
we
karma.
Might do a little, like,
When she was
SD
gone,
stream to
Daryl
see how that
grinned.
goes.
Damn,
But
boss.
I don't know. We'll
That
see
was
what
intense.
'Cause
Yeah,
I do kind
I
of
said,
like
finishing my drink.
Stardew Sundays.
She came
but
in
honestly,
pregnant and left
come the New Year,
embarrassed.
guys, so
I call that
after
labor
not
pain.
this Sunday
He
coming
laughed.
Up, but next Sunday,
You want me to
we're
block
back
her
to
number
Terraria.
again?
So
Already done,
honestly,
I said,
Stardew won't
tapping my
happen
phone.
that much
For the rest of the
anymore.
day, I tried to focus
might
on
just be a
work,
game that
but
we
my
throw in
brain
once in
kept
a while.
replaying the absurdity.
But yeah,
Pregnant?
I don't know.
3
we'll see
weeks
what's up.
post-surgery?
All right,
Drink
let me
on.
see if the
It
team's
sounded less like a relationship and more like a limited time scam.
ready. Are we good?
By evening, I was back home grilling steak on the patio when my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered, Luke, it's Greta. Oh, good.
Take your time.
I said, tell me it's about the apocalypse and not your sister. She hesitated. Clarissa is saying you humiliated her at your office. I didn't humiliate her. I said she humiliated herself by showing up with a fairy tale pregnancy and an expired soba story. Greta aside, she's not doing well. She won't stop crying. Keeps saying she's scared. I rolled my eyes of what? Reality. She needs help. She needs a time machine.
Yep.
Luke, Greta, listen, I said, cutting her off. I gave that woman 15 years of stability.
I heard me.
She traded it for chaos. I'm not swooping in because she
I heard
finally
me on your
realized her
stream
circus
say,
doesn't have a
meow.
safety net.
I didn't say
Greta was
meow.
quiet for a moment. You've
I
changed.
did.
Yeah.
No, I said, I just stopped auditioning for the role of nice guy who
Confusing
gets
Captain
screwed.
Again, y'all.
She sighed. You
Okay,
really
with
don't
that.
care
You
anymore.
confused me when
Not in the way
said
you
keep
think.
yourself muted
I
for
said,
us, Captain.
I wish her peace. Preferably far,
curious.
far away from me.
Well,
When
yeah,
I hung up, I felt oddly
you had me
peaceful.
muted while
Maybe
you were
this was what
talking to
emotional
your chat.
closure looked
Yeah,
like.
I didn't have you
Less dramatic
deafened,
than
I just muted
expected,
me.
more satisfying than revenge. But then 2 weeks later, my
So
phone
you could-
buzzed
you could've,
again.
like, screamed
This
and
time
yelled
it
in
was
my
Greta.
ear and everyone
The
could
message
still
read,
avoid you,
false
and
alarm.
it would just
Period.
be-
I read it twice, then laughed so hard I spilled my drink. Of course, the miracle that
Rude.
wasn't. I forwarded the text to Howard with the caption, told you it was nonsense. He replied instantly. You called it. Woman's writing her own soap opera. It's not even a good one.
Hello.
I texted back.
Hello.
Low budget, bad acting.
Yes.
That night, I got home to find a letter in my mailbox, handwritten.
No.
The envelope smelled faintly like her perfume. Expensive regret and lavender. Against my better judgment, I opened it. Luke, I'm sorry for everything. I was scared. I wanted to feel wanted again. Trent lied. I made mistakes, but I didn't deserve this much hate. Maybe one day you'll remember the good years, and forgive me, Clarissa. I stared at it for a while. The handwriting was shaky, dramatic loops on every Y, smudges where tears had fallen,
Yep.
or maybe spilled wine. Either way, it felt like a chapter closing. I folded it neatly and slid it into a drawer right beside the divorce decree. Then, I poured a drink, turned on some music, and toasted to irony. Here's to Clarissa, I said aloud. May her next miracle come with better math. A few days later, Howard called again. So, she's dropped the pregnancy story, he said. Yeah.
You love that motorcycle.
Apparently, she and biology had creative differences.
I do
He
love
chuckled.
this motorcycle.
Any
What's
new
wrong
drama?
with this motorcycle?
Not yet,
Nothing.
I said. But give her Wi-Fi and
Okay,
wine,
don't worry,
and I'm sure
don't
we'll
worry
see a
about the-
Facebook
yeah,
essay
don't
soon.
worry about
We both
it.
laughed.
It's all good.
The next week, Greta called again, her voice oddly
Were
calmer.
we
That's what I-
saying?
She's talking about getting therapy. She said. I nodded to myself.
Blah, blah.
Good. Maybe her next relationship will involve less surgery and more sense. She wanted me to tell you she's sorry. I bet she does.
Fine.
I said, tell her I accept from a distance. Maybe you two could. Greta, if you finish that sentence, I'm blocking you. She sighed. You're impossible. I'm peaceful. I corrected. Huge difference. That night, I sat on the porch, bourbon in hand, thinking about how full circle everything had
I wonder
come.
if it has something to
Clarissa
do with
wanted
the
a new
GTA,
beginning. She got one,
privacy setting
just not the
thing.
fairy tale she imagined.
Because-
Her miracle had turned into a memo from reality. And for once, I wasn't the
Oh,
punchline.
okay.
I wasn't angry anymore, Not even bitter, just done. The kind of done that comes after a storm when all you can do is look at the wreckage,
airport.
nod, and say, well,
Airstrip,
that
something
happened.
like that, you know,
Maybe
same
somewhere
thing.
down the road she'd actually figure herself out. Maybe she wouldn't. Either way, it wasn't my story anymore. And as far as I was concerned, that was the real miracle. 2 months later, the dust had finally settled. The paperwork was done. The court stamps were dry, and the house no longer echoed with the ghost of Clarissa's complaints about emotional availability or spiritual alignment. What it did echo with, though, was laughter. My laughter, because every time I thought back on the absurdity of it all, I couldn't help but grin.
Yes.
Clarissa walked away with $73,000 and I walked away with my sanity. Honestly, I got the better deal. She thought she'd ruined me, but all she did was renovate my peace. The first morning after the divorce was finalized, I made coffee in a kitchen that finally felt mine again. No scented candles labeled empowerment. No passive-aggressive sticky notes about recycling energy. And no Trent lounging on my
Storm
couch
incoming.
pretending existential dread counted as a hobby. Just silence, caffeine, and the faint smell of victory. My brother Kyle called that afternoon. So it's official. You're free. Free? I said, pouring bourbon into my coffee just because I could. Judge signed it. Lawyers toasted it. And the devil collected his client. Kyle laughed.
I'm
What's she up to
behind.
now? Still chasing fertility dreams with Picasso the Broke. Better, I said. Trent ran off to Costa Rica with her baby fund. He coughed mid-laugh. You're kidding. I wish, I said. He took $5,000 and a promise of eternal love, then disappeared faster than her common sense. Kyle whistled. And what did she do? Called me at 2 in the morning, I said, sobbing like a telenovela villain.
Everything's fine.
Said he left me, Luke. He took everything. Kay burst out laughing. And what did you say? I told her. Who could have
I
guessed?
like that.
Oh, right, me. Then I hung
not
up
that
and
it's
went back to
3D.
sleep. That was 2 weeks ago, and I haven't heard from her since. Well, unless you count the Christmas card she sent last night. The envelope was shiny gold with glitter that looked like it was designed to make my carpet hate me. The front said, thinking of better times, maybe new chances. I opened it against my better judgment. Inside was a photo of Clarissa in a Christmas sweater standing beside a sad little tree. No Trent, no Greta, no baby bump, just her and regret, both looking tired.
Almost ran into that.
The note read, hope you're doing well. I've been reflecting. Maybe someday we can talk again. I snorted so hard I nearly spilled my drink. Talk again. What was left to say? Hey, remember when you tried to crowdfund a pregnancy and got scammed by your soulmate? I tossed the card into the fireplace. Here's to new chances, I muttered as it burned. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed.
Oh,
Greta,
fuck, I'm down.
again, don't tell me she's outside, I said. No, Greta sighed. But she still thinks you might take her back. I tried telling her you've moved on, but she says you always had a soft spot for redemption stories. Yeah, I said, in movies, not in mortgages. Greta laughed quietly.
Are you guys down?
She's working part-time at some yoga studio now.
Yeah, we're dead.
Keeps talking about finding herself.
Well, I was
Well,
just
I
speculating.
said, I hope she uses a map this time.
Why-
There was a pause.
Well, it said
You know,
came in
Luke,
fourth, so
I'll give
I
you
thought
this.
It just meant
You handled all of this better than most
not like
men would
the
have.
whole team coming
Greta,
in fourth.
I said, after you've been called heartless,
Yeah.
controlling, and financially abusive in 1 week, you learn to find humor in it. It's cheaper than therapy.
There is no, like,
She laughed
one
softly.
person's getting
I guess
third and
that's
the
one
other
way to
person's
survive.
getting second, and the other
Survive.
person's getting
I said,
You never know.
Greta, I'm
You
thriving.
never know.
And with
I even got my
you,
weekends
10.
back. You know how long
Oh,
it's
so
been
I'm a
since I had a
tether.
Saturday without drama. Probably the honeymoon, she said. Exactly, I said. Now I spend my Saturdays doing what happy people do, nothing. And it's glorious.
Ooh, let's go.
After we hung up, I poured myself another drink and went to sit on the porch. The sun was setting, gold spilling across the lawn, peace hanging in the air like a promise I'd
I'm
finally
always
kept to
happy
myself.
about this weapon.
Sometimes I still catch myself replaying
better
moments
than
with
The
her.
only weapon he likes.
Not the fights, but the small,
Why?
stupid
Why?
ones.
This is
The
my
time we tried to
fucking
assemble
spot. I'm
IKEA
dead.
furniture without killing each other. The night she made spaghetti and dropped the sauce,
Oh, so-
but laughed until she
Came
cried.
down with us.
Those moments sting, but only for a
Yeah.
second because I remember what came next. The lies, the gaslighting,
Wow, so
the
when did it
absurdity
come
of
to
hearing.
the-
I'm getting my tubes
airfield
untied
with
because
us?
my ex wants kids. It's amazing how memory edits itself once you escape the
Rescue us?
fog.
Yep.
I used to think divorce was failure, but now I see it differently. It's not failure, it's graduation. You just don't get a cap and gown. You get silence and a stack of signed papers. A week later, I ran into someone unexpected at the grocery
Oh, I
store.
didn't mean to hit that button.
Greta again.
Okay, back to life. lobby
Only
and
this
we'll do
time,
the-
she
we'll do
wasn't
the
calling.
squads the other one.
She was shopping,
Oh,
looking
wait,
exhausted.
back to lobby.
You won't believe this,
Yeah.
she said before I could even say hello. Clarissa is writing a book. I blinked. A book? She says it's a memoir about rebirth and resilience.
Do you want
Working
the shiny
title
llamas?
Untied.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I laughed so
Yeah,
loud
never
people
mind.
turned to stare.
Remember I had that weird
Tell her to
chat
put me in the
problem,
acknowledgements.
too, when I was on
Maybe
Switch.
under financial donors. Greta grinned despite
only
herself.
chat with you guys
You're
in the
incurable,
lobby, but not
just
me.
accurate, I said, tossing coffee
Yeah,
beans into
that
my
was
cart.
weird.
Hey, if she publishes it, I might buy a copy.
You said you guys
Seriously? Yeah,
Yeah.
I said.
Switch, but
Be nice
Oh,
to
yeah.
see fiction get the attention it deserves.
probably a
We
combination
both
of
laughed,
stuff.
and for the first time since the whole fiasco began, it didn't feel bitter. It felt finished. By the time I got home, my phone buzzed again. Howard this time. Hey, my guy, he said. Heard you're officially done with the Morrison case. Done, dusted, and delivered. I said, you still drinking that overpriced whiskey? Always, he said. Let's celebrate. Drinks on me. That night, we met at our usual spot. A dim bar with terrible music and great burgers. Howard raised his glass. To freedom, to
Can I
peace,
try something
I said.
real quick?
To women who teach
Really
us
quick?
lessons we didn't ask for, he added. I grinned. And to lawyers who make sure we never pay
Can y'all
tuition
hear
twice.
this?
We clinked
Yes.
glasses, and for a few hours I
Yes.
forgot the chaos. Later, as I drove home, the city lights glowed against the night sky. I thought about Clarissa, about Trent, about the insanity that had taken over my life for a while. And then I smiled because none of it mattered anymore. Peace isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself with hashtags or declarations. It just shows up quietly, sits beside you, and reminds you what calm feels like. And maybe that's the punchline of it all. After years of drama, you
Yeah.
learn that happiness isn't fireworks, it's silence. When I got home, I turned off my phone, poured one last drink, and stood in front of my window, watching the lights flicker outside. I raised my glass to the reflection of a man who'd survived ridiculousness and come out laughing. To following your heart, I said, echoing my own words from that fateful pasta night.
It's a software.
But this time, making sure it has a brain. The bourbon burned on the way down, warm, sharp, real. The next morning, I woke up early, made pancakes, and realized I hadn't thought about Clarissa once while I flipped them. That I decided was progress. As I sat on the porch eating breakfast, a text came in from Greta. She's moving out of state. Says she needs a fresh start.
Is it the
I
Elgato
smiled.
voice
Okay,
mod?
switch me
Good for
back.
her, I replied. Tell her I hope she finds what she's looking for. Preferably
it,
far
or am
away.
I just making
Then
it
I
up?
put
Come
my
on.
phone down and just listened to the birds, the breeze, the sound of my own unbothered existence. The war was
Oh,
over.
1 second. Let me,
The queen had abdicated and the jester, me, had finally found peace in the punchline.